Hi everyone, welcome to the UK PTs Podcast. This is our first episode. Today, I'm Joshua Mullin. This is my co-host Mark Laws. And we have got a very special guest, a personal trainer who has had a meteoric rise to fame. You either love him or you may hate him. He's got some very controversial views. Today we have James Smith. Right, okay, so the first section we've got today on the podcast is the 27 Club. This is where we ask some quick fire questions for our guest, James. So there's going to be three sections. We have got section 1, which is all about your education. There is section 2, which is all about your industry experience. And then section 3, which is the personal section. That can get a bit funny, a bit weird. It's good. You're going to have 90 seconds per round to answer the questions. And Mark, I believe you're going to go for the first
Yeah, one. Mate, James, I'm going to ask you the first 9 questions. So they're all education-based. Josh, I trust you've got your stopwatch running. So it's quick fire. You've got 90 seconds for all 9 questions and answers. All good? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, James Smith. In which year did you qualify as a personal trainer?
2013.
2013. And who was the education provider?
The training room.
Training room. How long did it take you to qualify?
6 weeks.
What was the last CPD course that you completed?
No fucking idea.
What is the next CPD course that you have your eye on?
Absolutely fucking none.
Perfect. What is the highest level of qualification or education that you possess?
BTEC in sports performance.
Should a personal trainer ever be reassessed? And if so, how often?
Yes, every 2 or 3 years, I reckon.
Cool. What skill did you gain on your PT course that you use most often today?
Not to step over the barbell when working with a client.
And last question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at your job?
4.5 when I'm sober.
When you're pissed?
About 9.5.
9.5, standard. Cool, easy peasy. You got 10 seconds to spare. A little insight there into the education or lack of James's history. Josh, got your questions for round 2?
I've got them right here.
You want me on stopwatch duty, don't you? Just to, I'm admin. Right. I'm good to go.
Right, James, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, name the most underrated person, product, or thing in the fitness industry.
This is tough, isn't it? Smith machine for inverted rows.
Ooh, nice. Name the most overrated person, product, or thing in the industry.
Treadmill.
Nice. Which book should all personal trainers read?
Not a Diet Book by James Smith PT.
Put a link down below. Foam rolling, yes or no?
No, unless you're using it to perv on people.
For how long did you do gym hours before being exclusive as a PT?
About 3.5 years, about 5,000 hours.
Nice. Which common fitness myth do you wish you could debunk forever?
Intermittent fasting.
Nice. What is the best piece of work-related advice you've ever been given?
Set the amount of hours you want to do in a week. Don't do any more. As soon as you reach that amount of hours, put your rates up.
20 seconds to go.
Be the ultimate fitness industry podcast guest for yourself.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Nice. What are your favourite 3 exercises?
Romanian deadlift, traditional deadlift, and bicep curls.
Oh, that's him.
Perfect. Bang on time. If Carol Vaughan was here, she would have let you get away with that. That was just on the buzzer.
I don't know why. The reason I said Neil deGrasse Tyson was he's like my ultimate guest. I'd love to get on my podcast one day. Like nothing to do with fitness. Like that guy, if you've ever listened to him on a podcast, do you know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is?
Yeah, it's all like space and physics and shit.
Yeah, but he's just the most intelligent person. He almost struggles to communicate with people because he's so much smarter than them. And I've got some banter where I'm just like, one day I want to get him on. And so yeah, but the fitness, the scene they could do with a guest like that because everyone else is there going, trying to talk about flipping the carbohydrates or the molecular makeup of triglycerides or whatever it is.
That's actually the next round of questions.
Yeah, you're ruining the third round. No, you're not. Nothing could ruin the third round.
Wow.
Right, are we ready? So a little insight into your personal life, James. Josh, you on the clock?
Ready.
Okay, let's go. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favorite city you've ever visited?
Sydney.
If you could attend any concert, dead or alive, who would be playing?
Ooh. Deadmau5.
What was the last television series you watched or streamed an episode of?
Ratchet.
If you could choose anyone to play you in James Smith the movie, who would it be?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Tea or coffee, how do you take it?
Long black with milk is how we call it over here, which is a black coffee with a dash of milk.
Would you rather go back in time to speak to your ancestors or forwards in time to speak to your descendants?
Back in time.
Question 8. Would you rather shag a goat and nobody will ever know about it, or not shag the goat but everybody thinks that you did?
Probably not shag a goat and everyone thinks that I did, and I'd hope that everyone would think that I did a good job.
The goat enjoyed it. Last question. Please name one thing that is still on your bucket list.
Ooh. Second time bestseller. Single times.
I don't know if you got that, but there was a couple of plugs in there, everybody. We're still going. Available before Christmas. No, probably not. It probably isn't, is it? New Year.
No, we got November.
Oh,
the second one's coming out.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll be slaughtered alive if I didn't get that out there. So,
Damn right. Cool. There we go. A lovely little insight into James Smith, and you are now our first official member of the 27 Club, not the famous musicians who took too many drugs and died too soon, but the fitness version.
I like that, a bit of light-hearted bants to get off the line.
Exactly, and hopefully quickfire, and anyone who was going to switch off by now already has done so.
Get them out.
Yeah,
if not, they're going to be staying forever. Josh, we're going to move into the interview section now, and I do believe you might have a question for James.
Yes. So one of the things that I was quite interested in is that obviously your rise to fame has been quite meteoric. There's very quickly, I don't want to say overnight success, because obviously there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. But with that kind of explosion of popularity, were there any problems that you didn't really see coming up that were unexpected?
I never look forward on this. I'm never like, oh, well, I'm here, so I'm going to be here. So I'm not. It's very difficult to be foresighted on anything like this. To be like, well, if my trajectory carries on. It's just been a very weird experience. I remember first meeting Mark, and when I came to
That was your weird experience?
No. When I first came, obviously I've been in like a little Bondi bubble, and I hadn't been back to the UK since I had 2,000 followers. So when we went into Body Power, Darren and I were getting stopped left, right, and centre, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? There are little things like you have to plan to go to the toilet a little bit quicker. Then, like, so say I need a wee, I can't wait till I'm 80%. I have to go for a wee when I'm at 60%. Because if I'm in an area or a bar, especially when people are drunk or on MDMA, that journey to the top bathroom would take a long time. Harbour Life in Sydney, a festival I went to last year, I had to leave almost half an hour before I needed to go for a wee. Especially because there'd be drunk Irish girls on MDMA that would be like, James. That's probably one of the main things. The second thing was dating. It was just weird. So I'd meet people on Hinge, and sometimes I'd do my due diligence. I used to work in insurance, and some people on their Hinge profiles only have their first name. So sometimes I'd be chatting to someone and they'd be into fitness, which is, I'm not a narcissist. I'd see they like competed or whatever. I remember once there was a girl, her name was like Sonia, and it had her job title as well in her Hinge profile, but no surname when we matched. I was like, I swear I've seen you before. So I then type into Google, LinkedIn, Sonia, then her job title, and it pulls up her LinkedIn profile where I get a surname, and then I put in her surname, and she has a fitness Instagram account, which is her surname and like S surname. And it says follow back, so I know that she follows me. So then this is the next thing you do, right? You click on message so you can see your history of interactions through Instagram. 6 months before, she tagged me in a story 3 times, and we had a bit of a back and forth because I knew she was in Sydney. And then she tags me again 3 months later saying that she bought my book with a picture of her holding it. So I was like, hold on a second. We spoke to each other, so I go back to Hinge. I open up Hinge. She's like, what do you do for work? And I was like, all right, okay, I'll see what's going on here. So I was like, fine, cool. So we met for an ice cream. And when we're out for an ice cream, the first 20 minutes, she's like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, so how long have you been here? And I was thinking, you fucking know. We've been talking. We've spoken way before, and this is all just a facade. This is all an act. And yeah, there's sometimes weird things like that where I'd rather just someone go, follow you. And then I'll say something, they'll be like, we fucking know. And I'd rather that banter, or I'll tell a story. They're like, you spoken about this on social, shut the fuck up. So that's probably the weirdest thing, if I'm honest.
That is a bit, yeah, that's kind of unexpected. So do you think that was maybe because of her embarrassment, or do you think there was something a bit deeper, a bit maybe criminal minds going on?
No, I just don't think it's like a social construct that people are familiar with. You think for the not even just the large part, the very large part of human existence, unless you were Genghis Khan, the whole fucking world wouldn't know who you were or your personality traits. Mm-hmm. So it's one of these really weird dynamics which I don't think people are trained for. So in that respect, no. But then that was just like kind of like an unforeseen circumstance where I was like, oh fuck. So like, how am I supposed to approach dating from here on in? Am I supposed to do due diligence on everyone? Is there going to be this weird dynamic? Am I going to have to go to another country, like move to Norway for a few years so I could find someone, that genuinely doesn't follow me or doesn't? Not that I'm not saying everyone does, but it would increase my chances of finding someone who doesn't. And it was just a weird one.
It's a bit crazy, isn't it? So going back to the first section of the 27 questions, you said that you qualified with the training room through the 6-week kind of intensive PT course. Is there anything that you would have changed about that course looking back?
It's a strange one because I had a lot of fun on that course, and it was because it wasn't very hard. It felt like an extended PE lesson. They were like, larynx, bronchi, bronchioles, and like, I remember there was a real hot chick on my training course. I spent half the time just making sure I sat next to her. And then, the weird thing was, like, it was GCSE level PE that we were learning, and some people just had no grasp. And I remember sitting there, and I put my hand up. I didn't know that much about. I knew I was in decent shape when I took that course, but I didn't actually know what I was doing, which is a testament to most of the fitness industry. You can do all the wrong things, but if you're keen enough, you will look good. Any idiot can eat chicken and broccoli and lift weights 6 times a week, and they will look good. So I was one of those guys who didn't really know what I was doing. But there were some people on that course who really didn't know what they were doing. And one guy, I remember looking at him, and I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, I know nothing about training, so I'm becoming a PT. I'm like, I'm not sure this is the best place for you to be. And it wasn't particularly difficult. And funnily enough, you learn all these things like, when the fuck am I going to talk about bronchioles or bronchi with a client? I'm not a respiratory specialist. And some of the stuff we learn, you're never going to use again. But I'll never forget the feeling of my last day on the PT course where I was like, are we done? Is this it? What do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do? What, do I run a business now? What about tax? I had no idea. What do I charge? Like, all of my biggest 5 questions. What do I do now? Not answered. How much do I charge? Not answered. How to structure a session? Yeah, cool. With no one to fucking structure it for. How do people lose fat? what? Like, I was stuck there, like, without a fucking clue. And I don't think anyone on my PT course is still a PT.
Wow.
That is sadly it's too common a story, really. I mean, I've been throwing stats around on this, and there's multiple sources you can get similar things from, and I've dragged out stats from Australia, Europe, the US, and the Middle East, and the general consensus is somewhere between 80 to 90% of PTs don't last more than 12 to 18 months, pretty much. So you can take like a cohort of 20 people, and by the end of the year, one or two of them might still be in the job. By next Christmas, probably none of them are going to still be in the job. And I think that's the massive problem that I've noticed in the last 5 years that I've been talking at shows and stuff. And it's part of the reason why we sort of want to have this podcast, just to try to sort of stem the flow a little bit, because there will be some of those people that leave the industry will be fucking good coaches at something, or they will have some potential in some area, but they don't have generally they don't have enough of the skills they need to survive long enough to get good enough at applying stuff, if that makes sense.
It's a really strange one, because it's never a passion thing. So if someone didn't have the passion, they wouldn't have sat on the fucking course. And £3,000's a lot of money to do a fucking course. People don't want to spend that learning to drive, and then they can go dogging all the time. You know, it's crazy. People obviously have got a massive passion for fitness, so that never changes. Then people are fitness people or they're not. That never changes. And it does boil down to your ability to make money, which is a conversation that I would have hated to have had in my early days. I never considered myself a businessman or an entrepreneur. I never considered myself like even to have a business now, but it's one of those lagging skills that you need to have. And the way I could only explain it is that, imagine if you're a bodybuilder and you've got shit quads and you don't enjoy training quads. Well, mate, if you want to be a decent fucking well-respected bodybuilder, you best start training that area that you're lagging in. And you can have this multifaceted approach to being a great PT, but if you have a lagging part, you're never going to place. And so many people just overlook that. They think they can just throw passion, hours, and more clients at it, and there's no tactics to it. And a bit like what we said about people training in the gym, you can throw max effort at something, but it's not the optimal means of getting to that point. And if you look at the best bodybuilders or the people with the best physique, they're not throwing the most at it. They've got a smart approach which delivers the best results. And it's crazy how someone can be so focused and passionate in one area of their life and let another bit just be neglected, which is often how to run a business.
Yeah. As you know, if you listen to, say, people like Gary Vaynerchuk talking about like hustle, you've got to do more, work harder. In some respects, yes, there's an element of truth to that, but it sounds like what you're saying is working hard is great, but working smart is probably a better place to concentrate on.
Yeah, I mean, hold on, let's have a look now. If I was to jump on my Instagram, I've done 2,950 posts since I started my Insta, which was in November 2016. And I've got nearly 700,000 followers. Not to say that followers is a metrics which you can use, because Instagram don't pay me. But that's only 2,900 posts. And a lot of people's personal pages can have that many, let alone people's business pages. So it's not the amount of posts that is solely the benefactor as to why I'm in that position. It's what I've done with those posts, and there's been a strategy the entire time. So like, I think that some people can, not dangerously, but they can take people's advice and be like, right, I just need to post more. I just need to keep posting. If I post 10 times a day, I'm gonna, I'm gonna accomplish so much. And a bit like, you could be a boxer and you could just be going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. But if you haven't got the skill set to step to the side and send a rip to the body, your opponent's just going to stay standing. There has to be some form of tactics at play to maneuver beyond your problem or your barrier or wherever you're in. And people aren't given that skill set. And, people are almost, in many situations, it's like they're sat on a rocking chair. No matter how much effort, they feel like they're moving, but they're not moving forward. And, there has to be a strategy at play, because evidently, I would say that the majority of personal trainers that don't surpass their first year, I doubt very much many of them it was because they weren't doing enough. It would have been that they weren't doing enough in the right kind of stages, or the fact they weren't getting gratification for it. And that's a massive thing at the moment, is where, you know, you do a stupid fucking dance on TikTok and you could get 500,000 views, but yet they spend a year posting what they think is useful content, and then they don't get any growth. And there has to be some form of tangible gratification for people's actions these days, or they won't continue to do it.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I was going to ask at some point was about where did you feel that you might have been lacking as you came out of your level 3 course, and we've sort of stumbled into that accidentally as we're talking. So business is obviously a key area. So let's say if there was, out of those 6 weeks, if one of the weeks was like a business week now, what do you think would be some key modules that would be actually helpful to take a newly qualified PT and just to help them survive for 2 years, so they have enough time to get interaction time with clients and to face like loads of different situations and problems?
I think that it wouldn't be an easy task, but you'd have to split the room into probably your stronger personalities and your slightly weaker ones. And that's not to say that people are bad humans, good humans. I was fortunate enough to have a bit of a thick skin from doing door-to-door sales. I had a bit of a thick skin from coming from sales. I'd been exposed to sales, marketing. I'd managed to survive in those industries. So going onto a gym floor for me, I kind of already, I wasn't selling gas and electric to people that already had gas and electric. So I was very grateful. I was grateful to the fact that I was warm when I was selling to people on the gym floor. Whereas a lot of people come from a background where there were 18-year-olds on my course, 19-year-olds. So, no one's having this discussion whether or not you go self-employed or you go work for a big franchise. And I think that straight away you need to go, who's comfortable running a business and prospecting their entire business from scratch? Put your hands up. Cool. You need to find a gym where you can pay rent. And then there should be really probably better initiatives from the David Lloyds, the Fitness First, the Virgin Actives to do mentorship schemes for young personal trainers where they can be put in the shallow water with, inflatables so that they don't drown, and then they can work their time through it. But again, it's a bit of a faulty system, because as soon as a personal trainer becomes proficient enough, he's not going, or she's not, sorry, I just assumed gender, they're not going to be able to benefit the gym enough. And there's this kind of friction between gyms and personal trainers, and are you operating a business and paying rent or whatever? So like the very first thing should be like, where are you going? Because for me, I was left there. I was like, where the fuck do I go? I went into like a Virgin gym near Bracknell, and I was like, oh, I'm a PT. They're like, all right. I was like, can I give you a CV? Like, how does this work? There's no kind of onboarding structure. And one thing for me, which it sounds bad, right? There were 2 guys on my course, and not to be mean, but they were fucking idiots. Like, I was like, what guys? Oh, how are you not getting this? Like, how are you not getting this? And they came in before the end of the course, and they're like, we're both going to Pure Gym. We've both been accepted by Pure Gym. And I was like, fuck. No offense to Pure Gym if you're listening. I was like, I'm not going to Pure Gym. If those 2 guys just got a job offer from Pure Gym, I'm not going. So I was then like, nah. And I came up with this theory in my head. I was like, I'm not going to these gyms where they pay your rent. So I ended up finding a gym that I'd never heard of with a franchise where I could go self-employed. I kind of clocked very early on that people in these gym facilities just wanted people in the door. They just wanted fresh meat on the floor to generate revenue or to keep the gym busy.
Mate, it's absolutely true. I can't argue with any of that. What else? So other than that, like the different characteristics and that dictating sort of whether you need a little bit more help or whether you've got the balls to actually run your own business. But in terms of actually like the specific running of the business, what do you think would be the more important areas for people to get to grips with?
I mean, if like this is a really bad analogy to use, But drug dealers know their product, know their markups, know what they need to sell. That's it. They buy the 8 ball from the person above them. They can step on it if they choose to. They double their money. They pay back the man they get it from. There's basic economics at play here. Personal trainers, no one's taught them economics. No one's taught them demand. No one's taught them commoditization. And, it's a real shame that fitness professionals don't understand that, yet someone selling weed in Slough does. And it's such for me, I didn't really understand it at first either. I was like, a PT charges this much, I've got to do as many as possible. But imagine, and this is what I've done at a lot of my B2B talks, is where I go, right, guys, pick your hours. And everyone picks really scattered, shitty hours. And people there's these false notions. 6 a.m. is your bread and butter. No, 6 a.m. is first thing in the fucking morning, mate. And then they go 5 p.m. is your bread and butter. I was like, no. 5 p.m. is where normal human beings go home. And they're like, yeah, but that's where you're going to get loads of clients. And you're going to queue for 40 minutes to use a fucking leg press. And people go, but you can't get clients during the day. You can, but it's harder. And you kind of just graph out your hours as if you're a normal human with a normal job. And then you have to do what every business does and market those hours to be sold. And then once you've sold those hours, you're then in a battle for renewals or replacements. The same way that Ford will build a car. When it's on the forecourt, the job is not done. That now has to be sold through marketing and sales. And then if someone buys another Ford from you, that's a renewals aspect. Same way that a relationship works. When you're single, you can't just sit around and be single. You must go to bars and market yourself. Once you've marketed yourself, you probably get sex eventually. And once you get sex with someone, if you want to remain in a relationship, you must then turn up to the renewal process by being a good partner. Should you not renew that sale, you will then be left on the fucking forecourt. And people can be the best shaggers in the world, but yet they can't apply that same mindset to their business. So I think there's almost this general naivety to it, to just say, hey guys, your product is you. These are your hours. Your market rate is not determined by what other people are charging, but determined by how much demand you can create. In the same respects that Porsche and Ferrari don't fucking advertise their cars because they have enough demand. And guess what? If you manage to create enough demand in your gym, you won't have to walk the floor. You won't have to do this kind of stuff. And it's one of those things where I always have these crass analogies, as you could tell. I've already brought a few in.
I thought they were quite tame, to be fair.
And I was like, just if someone could just come in and just explain that to, there'd be so many light bulbs. You'd be like, oh, fucking hell, I get it now. And I wish someone could have done that for me, because I never forget doing 14 1-hour sessions in a day. 14. And I thought that was good. It wasn't good. I was fucked.
So once you found your self-employed gym, you finished your course, and you've started, your personal training business, when did you notice that things started to change for you in regards to your kind of rise in popularity? What sort of things started to change first?
I was incredibly fortunate that I found, first of all, it was a budget gym. It was in Bracknell. It was in what do you call it? Technology park. So it was in a commercial area. It's £20 a month. I strolled in and I spoke to the gym manager and I said to him, I was like, hey mate, I want to be a PT. And he was like, all right, we've got one PT at the moment. We've got about 2,000 members. And I was like, oh, sick. I was like, why is there only one PT? Straight away, I was like, oh, this must be a shit place to do business. There's builders in here, whatever. And I was also very fortunate where on my first week, I said to him, before GDPR, I said, can I email your database? Like, just introducing myself. He was like, all right. I won't drop any names, but they exported me the whole fucking database on a USB. On a USB. Can you imagine that? They had opted in for marketing. So there's my way out, by the way. So they'd opted in for marketing. Technically, this was a marketing email. So I went into Gmail, blind carbon copied them. That's another thing that these motherfuckers don't know what a blind carbon copy is. No one's taught how to write an email. Yeah. So from my time in the corporate world, I knew how to write an email. Hey guys, my name's James, one of the personal trainers here. Didn't even say I was new, just said I was one of the personal trainers here. If there's anything I can do to help you, feel free to respond. I had 20 clients my first week, like 20 clients. They thought I was the personal trainer of the gym. It was my first week. I'd never done a PT session before. So I was fortunate enough to get busy, and getting busy early meant that I could make all the mistakes that I needed to. But then I spent like 2 years doing Groundhog Day, charging the same amount, not charging my mates enough, not charging hot women enough, like letting people get away with not paying me for sessions, like all of that bullshit that you kind of like sharpen your trade of being a trainer. And I was posting on social media, but with only the outcome that I wanted social proof, that people would go, oh, if you go into James's Facebook, he's got 2,000 followers, which I thought at the time was loads. And I thought it'd just give me some credentials. Or if someone, what I would do is if I was in a gym or I needed a physio, I'd look for them on Facebook. And then if this physio that I was going to pay fucking whatever amount an hour to did a daily blog, I'd be like, this guy's legit, or this woman is legit. Sorry to assume gender again. And I literally only did that for myself. And then after doing a bit of work with Paul Moore, I suddenly realized that there was a funnel in play. And the sales funnel, which again is like one of the core components of my B2B talk, and I do use dating as an analogy. I'm like, the more people you chat to on Hinge, the more dates you get, the more drinks you go for, the more drinks you go for, the more sex you get. Now, without the initial lots of chatting, you're not going to get that many messages. Without a lot of messaging, you're not going to get a lot of dates. Without a lot of dates, you're not going to get a lot of sex. There's going to be a drop off the whole way through. But you don't cry about the fact that you only talk to 10 people to date one. You don't. If you want to date 2 people, you talk to 20 people. In the same respect that when I was doing door-to-door sales, I'd have to knock on 100 doors to make a sale. There's no point in crying about it. I'm selling gas and electric to someone who's already got it in fucking Gloucester. Like, there's no like happy way to get around that. So social media then became a way of doing posts and blogs to get email addresses, to then sell a product to, or personal training at that point. And when you start to see your entire business as almost more like a machine, then it allowed the processes of running that machine feel a lot more automated. And in essence, all I've done in all the time that's elapsed since the gym floor to now is fill the processes of that machine, and everything else is just a byproduct. And I've almost fallen in love with marketing the product, ensuring the product's good enough, which is my coaching services, and I'm doing it ever since. The following and even status associated with that is just a byproduct of getting more efficient with the first stage of the funnel, becoming more efficient with the second stage of the funnel, becoming more efficient with the third stage. If you look at Not a Diet Book, you'll also notice that it is a direct feed for people to use my calorie calculator that then puts them into my email marketing scheme. So if I was to take my business hat on for a second, one of the main reasons I agreed to do the book was the amount of coverage it would give me at a wider scale to get people's email addresses to put into my second stage of the marketing funnel. So then I've got social media, email addresses, book sales, email addresses, James Academy. And yeah, I would say everything's only really happened through the improvement of those systems of running a business. I enjoy running a business now just as much as I did before. The scale of it is just something that's changed along the way. If it was the exact same size that it was in that gym in Bracknell, I genuinely think I would literally be just as happy. And I think that's another thing that's really important to say to people. As long as you can keep your head above water, you will enjoy your business. I've been incredibly fortunate with how mine's gone, but it's still the same game. I still on the same laptop. If I was in Bracknell now, I'd be using the same MacBook Pro I have now. My iPhone would still be running out of battery the same time of the day. And that's kind of like why I love doing the B2B stuff, because I look back and I think, fucking hell, there were some long days where I had to run this kind of business machine, but I enjoyed it. I still had the same smile on my face going to Waitrose for a coffee that I do now doing the academy stuff. But yeah, it's all been about those processes, really.
That's awesome. So you mentioned, obviously, you got some coaching from Paul Mort, which I'm pretty sure we'll have him as a guest in the near future. Alongside that, are there any kind of investments that you had for your business that you would say were the most beneficial? Were there any kind of books, education, coaching that you would recommend or that you invest?
Yeah, like the coaching side of thing is big. There's a lot of PTs that don't have coaches, and again, if you're going to be a coach, you need to believe in coaching. Even now, I have a jiu-jitsu coach. I have a boxing coach. I'm not no interest in boxing. I just like the humility of it. I like always being able to learn. I was in MNU with Martin McDonald for quite a while as well. And what was amazing was that I can't remember a time that I remember actually I messaged Martin McDonald. I heard him. He did a podcast with I actually can't remember who it was, and he completely changed my mindset surrounding a concept. And I messaged him. And I couldn't find him on social media, and I messaged him. I go, "Why aren't you on social media?" And Martin got his social media, and I love the fact that we were both in the similar profession, but he would school me on so many things that I thought I knew. I thought I was right about. So MNU was good, was very good. Leading back to your first kind of point, I never sat the exams. So I said to Martin, I was like, I'm going to study your course, but I'm not doing your exams. And everyone was like, why wouldn't you get the certification? I was like, I'm really sorry, but I don't care. I don't care enough to do this. I remember you had to get an 80% success rate in one of the exams. I got 75% at my first one. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. So yeah, you've got courses which are really good. And again, bodybuilders, right? As another analogy, say you got shit legs. You can't just go to one resource to learn how to grow your quads. You've got to go to several resources. You might have to go behind the theory of developing good legs, then the practical application of developing good legs. So for me, it was great to, study under Martin McDonald, but then read a book by Peter Thiel, 0 to 1, which was great when starting a business. You might read the 4-Hour Work Week, which is great about going online. But then again, you might read, Mark Manson to help you with stress or whatever it is. And again, definitely, I suppose if we rewind a step as well, if people commoditize their business and create demand and do all the basics of running a business well, you then create free time to do these courses, to do these books, to do these audiobooks, and then it becomes like a catalyst in the entire process. So a lot of people are actually suffocated from developing themselves using resources because they don't have the time to do it because they're not treating their existing business or hours as they should. So it's like a vicious circle. But yeah, there's countless amounts of books that have really helped me. And yeah, just creating free time to live within your business as well is a really big thing as well.
Nice. So with your with the path you've taken so far and the way your business has grown, and even all the way back to when you started at the gym in Bracknell, are there any decisions that you made that you now regret?
Probably, yeah. There was one that I spoke about at Body Power, which Mark will remember. I've just had a few little fuck ups where once, from an ethical standpoint, I bought a book that was designed for me as a personal trainer, and I shared it with my clients. And I put it in a Facebook group. They weren't going to buy it, and if anything, I was actually trying to show them where I was learning stuff from. And looking back now, I'm like, James, how are you so fucking stupid to do this? But it wasn't malicious. I wasn't like, guy, the people sell my book online for like 99p all the time, and I'm kind of like, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I can't have double standards on this. I know people are PDFing it to each other or whatever. And there was just little fuck ups like that. Sometimes I do a video, then I get legal action, and I'd be like, oh, fuck off. I really shouldn't have done that. My mum and dad are like, James, why are we getting legal letters from it? Mum, dad, don't worry about it. And then how the fuck did they get my parents' address? But at the same time, the regrets that you have from doing these things are actually like essential speed bumps. And like I always say that, if you hit a speed bump going too fast, that's when you really feel it. But again, the speed bumps are there to prevent you from going too fast, to prevent you from getting too cocky. And although we hate speed bumps on physical roads, they're there to serve a purpose. No one built them there for no reason. No one gets pleasure out of them. So I kind of embrace them all on the way. And when I look at kind of like how your character matures over the years, they're essential. So although they're regrets, although they're things that I probably, would think about changing, I'm also quite grateful for them because if I hadn't have made that mistake at that level, what mistake would I have made at a further level? So, whenever people have mistakes from shagging clients or, potentially breaching copyright laws, whatever it is, no one died for a start. No one died. So I remember, funnily enough, when this whole debacle kicked off, I actually messaged Martin McDonald about it. I was like, mate, I was a bit younger than most of my peers in the industry, so I looked up to a lot of them like uncles. I'm like, Martin, is that fucked up? He goes, no one died. No one died, James, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I was like, do you know what? No one did die. Life will go on.
In the end, how many copies of that book did you have to pay for?
I made a generous offer.
Generous donation.
Yeah. Several. Enough. But on what's quite funny about all this, which is really funny, is I apologized to all entities in a genuine way, and I was willing to do whatever it would have taken to rectify the situation. Now, if someone had, I've never sued anyone. I've never sued anyone in my life. I've never pressed anyone for money, for whatever. If someone had given me the opportunity to rectify the situation over time, that could have been their wisest investment ever. Ever. Because even to this day, I would still remember the kind of leeway that I would have been given in a genuine, honest mistake. So I kind of sit back and I smile now, and I think, fuck, that mistake for me wasn't half as big as the mistake for any other parties involved. So yeah, it's kind of like it's a bit of a funny one, but yeah.
Well, shit happens, and we all make little naive mistakes here and there, don't we?
It's a readjustment across the course. Nothing travels in a straight line. Whether it's a boat or a plane, they make thousands of readjustments every minute, and your course and direction won't occur without these readjustments. And people do need to embrace the regrettable things that are going to happen in their lives.
Yeah, damn right. So you mentioned so we're talking there about sort of mistakes, as it were, from almost from a personal or from a business perspective. And you mentioned earlier about getting so many clients so quickly allowed you to make mistakes more quickly and to learn from them. What were some of those mistakes that you were making in those early days? I'm assuming from a sort of the construct of a PT session or from exercise selection or anything like that.
Yeah, there's so many from, fucking hell. It took me like 3 years to realize that a PT session doesn't have to be an hour. And if I got through the entire session, like it's 10 to 1. And I was like, guys, you can go home. They're like, okay. No one ever said to me, no, we must do 10 more minutes. Yeah. I'd be like, well done, you're fucking done. They were gone. Rather than just trying to fill it with a finisher, fuck off with your finisher. A finisher was what I used to give my clients because I felt bad about sending them away early. They wanted to get back to work. Not having a strict enough nutritional regime in place. I'd be like, right, okay, can we do this? They'd be like, oh, I don't want to track. So suddenly I'd be dancing around trying to figure all of these ways of creating a deficit where I should have just said to my client, you've tried it your way, we're going to do my way. If this doesn't work in 2 months, I'll give you your fucking money back. And like creating these strategies, these trust things, whatever it was. I actually had that conversation with someone in a foyer of a gym, and I didn't mean to say it so loud. And I was like, well, you've tried it your way. And everyone's like frozen for a second. And he ended up being my client for like 2 years. But all these little things, letting someone get away without the sale. So, I'm going to think about it. And, you're like, well, you're not going to think about it. You're going to sign up for 10 sessions today. At any point in those 10 sessions, if you don't like the service, I tell you what, if I'm not worth what twice you're paying me, I'll refund you at any point. Okay, bang, sign up now. If I'd known that in my first 2 years, all these little like kind of readjustments across the course. And, setting your shoulder blades for a bench press, getting someone to put their feet in the right place, understanding the differences. A lot of people want to go straight to online. I'm like, no, you have to coach people through a squat so many times to understand how different ankles work, how different hips work. You'll have an Asian client and go, how the fuck did you just do that? And then you'll have another client who literally will be box squatting on like a 36-inch box and struggling to get back up. And you need to understand, like, people that can't get a bar tight behind. How are you going to adjust? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? There was a time in my career where I wanted to mobilize my clients. Oh, we're going to do some stretching. 6 months later, I'm like, no, we're going to raise your fucking heels. Now we're going to move you to this, move you to that. And you understand the personality traits of a client. You know, oh, if you did a bit of mobility, he's a fucking high corporate. He doesn't give a shit about mobility. He's in, he's out. He doesn't even want to talk to me. He's just doing this to get his wife off his back, you know. And it's very important to do this. I've lost clients. I've slept with clients, all of these things. And then you sit back and you go, fuck, I've got to stop doing that. Like, I've just lost the client for a shag. Was it worth it? Some cases, yes, but most of them, no. You know, there are so many of these little mistakes you need to make. And if you compare it to like Olympic lifting, when you do that first snatch, there's some you get too zealous. Others you don't pull the bar enough. Some you don't jump under. Sometimes you choose too much weight. Sometimes you don't choose enough. It's this journey of always bettering the process that a lot of people think they can just skip.
It's interesting when you talk about the people's obsession now with, I want to be an online personal trainer because it's easy, and I see Joe blogs and other people doing it, and they've got shitloads of followers making shitloads of money, so I'll just do that. But I think too many people don't actually understand that coaching is a thing that is far better face to face, and unless you can develop those skills and nail those skills in a face-to-face setting, it becomes very, very difficult to transfer them online anyway, let alone if you haven't built them in the first place.
Yeah, and I feel that some people say that to deter people from following their path, but I know the person I'm talking to so well because I've spent hours, thousands of hours in the gym with them. I know where they're shy in the gym. I know where they're not confident. I know why they want to do shorter sessions. Like, I know these people so well because I spent so much time with them. For me to try and skip that part would be very, very difficult. But also, people see the glamorous side of being online, but there is another unglamorous side. And I'm sure that a lot of where I am today was luck. I happened to be at the right age, at the right time. I happened to go traveling to be very time rich, just as video content was starting to really get picked up by social media platforms. I managed to sit there through the Facebook boom, then the Facebook bust, then the Instagram boom. And it wasn't as competitive when I started. I was probably one of the first personal trainers to start talking to camera. And everyone else was just doing workout videos and, you know, HIIT workouts, all of this shit. So the market became very saturated very quickly, but everyone does want to be an online trainer, and it should be something that complements their business. And I never actually wanted to do this or go online. It was something to fill a means of traveling for 3 months. I went back to the gym with every ambition of ditching my online clients. And if I didn't hate the gym in Sydney so much, I would have very much just gone back to face. And people also fail to realize you can operate a very profitable face-to-face business where you can turn up, train 4 or 5 people, not even for an hour each, even if you do 45-minute sessions, train yourself. Your job doesn't start till fucking 8 a.m. It doesn't finish till 2 p.m. and there's no stress outside of that. And I remember when I was in Bracknell operating this business, I went to get an iPhone and I was doing finance on it because it was interest free at the Apple place I was going to. I lied about my salary. I shaved about £25,000 off my salary because I didn't think they would believe me being a personal trainer that making that much money. They thought I'd be a liar. And I always remind people, I was like, yeah, I did well when I was on the floor. And if anything, you get a few tax benefits. When you're online, every electronic transfer is picked up, mate. And another thing that I was joking about, me and my business partner were chatting the other day. Someone goes, oh, I want to build an app. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want to build an app. But honestly, anyone listening, you don't want an app. In the last 2 years, we've spent $400,000 on just development costs. Just development costs for a fucking app. $400,000, nearly £250,000. And that's just keeping a team of developers employed overseas. It's crazy. And so many people think they want things. They don't understand the kind of sacrifice has to go with it.
So I've got a question in regards to your content, because obviously some people love your content, other people hate it, and you're known in the industry as being quite controversial, but you've always had kind of confidence when it comes to being on camera. Do you have any kind of tips or suggestions for PTs that maybe want to get in front of the camera for the first time?
I'm on the moment on my memories on Facebook. I'm seeing the time hops almost of 4 years ago. So 4 years ago today, never been to Australia. I was in the gym still. I was in the little PT room, and I'm in the PT room and I'm holding my phone and I'm talking. This is just when the live feature came on social media, and I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm like trying to have a conversation with a phone, which is very alien to me. And I had to get a whiteboard and write on the whiteboard so I didn't get lost in the conversation of what I was talking about. So it's something that occurs through repetition. My early video content wasn't great, but I was what I suppose an authoritative figure in the gym. So the way I spoke to camera was how I spoke to my clients. And it probably helped that I'm just over 6 foot and I'm a big guy. So when I'm with clients, I'm like, no, that's fucking stupid. I need you to stop doing that. So then all I did was take that to a camera. What I feel is a lot of people now are trying to not be themselves. But I was the same polarizing character in the gym where if I was in a consult with someone and I thought they were a bit of a dick, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually going to pass you on to another personal trainer, because it was of the utmost importance to me that I worked with someone I wanted. And I've traded money for dickheads before, where you're there and there's nothing worse than walking into a session, putting on this fake smile to work with someone you don't want to work with. And that's exactly what I do with social media now, because if I try and dial it down and swear less and be more PG, I'm going to attract people that I don't want to work with. And it's, to a lot of people, I know on the outside they're going, oh, there's so many people that don't like him. Yes, people I don't want to do business with. Even vegans, right? I give vegans a bit of shit. From an ethical standpoint, what they're doing is great, but they're fucking annoying, a lot of them. Really fucking annoying. And the most of the reasons, and you got great vegans. I got great vegans in my academy. I couldn't tell you how many because they don't feel the incessant need to fucking tell me. But a lot of vegans are just self-righteous people that want to not only tell you they're vegan, but to express how they're better than you. And I don't want to work with those people, because not only are they incredibly difficult to work with from a nutritional standpoint, not only are they sanctimonious, but they're just annoying people. So I was like, why are you so horrible to vegans? Because I don't want them to do business with me. Why are you so, crass and use the word cunt? Because people that get offended by the word cunt are annoying customers. And they're the ones that go, James, in your terms and conditions, you state this, blah, 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 blah. I'd like a refund based on this clause. Fuck off, just go, take the money, refund, double the refund, just send them away. And the same way that you've got to be stern with who your customer base is, you've got to be the same with social media. And it's all a good tactic. I remember going on first dates where I would joke about, oh, by the way, I'm not going to fuck you tonight. I'm not a piece of meat. In case you think you're just going to turn up here and fuck me. And from their reaction, I could tell whether or not they were a laugh. If they're like, no, or whatever it is. And you almost got to test the water. And English people are the best at this. We give people banter to see how they react. And from their reactions, you can tell if they're going to be good. Like I always walk into like a friendship group of my friends or in a group chat. And I always say, anyone fancy a bum? And then I go, oh shit, sorry, wrong group chat. And some people are like, it just goes silent. And other group chats find it really, really funny. And I can tell who are my people from doing stuff like that. And it's a shame that so many people on a grand scale miss that.
That should be
right. Next. Yeah. But no, all my friends do it to me. And like, I actually stole it off a friend at home who would go up to a random group of people in a pub. And he'd be like, anyone fancy a bum? And they go, shit, my friends are over here. Sorry, guys.
Well, the thing is, going by the rules from before, if he asks 10 people, one's going to say yes.
Exactly, and it's a game of numbers, and and people are so worried to be polarizing now. People are so scared. This cancel culture, one tweet, you're fucking done. All of this, and if you're vanilla and try to get everyone to like you, you're still going to attract people that want to cancel you, that want to kill. Like you make one mistake and you're fucked. And this is the thing, right? Imagine, Joe Wicks gets caught doing a line of coke in Ibiza. That's him done. If I get caught, it's James. He's tweeted about it. He's joking about bumming strangers. That's our James. You're like protecting himself. It's like 8 Mile. And it's important because if you can polarize people enough and be integral to your brand, you can actually protect yourself on another level. No matter how you react in life, people are going to come for you. And there's a lot of losers out there that are going to tear you down no matter how big you are. And it's with that in mind, you might as well just be yourself because it's exhausting if you're not.
Fair point.
On that note, and you've brought it up in sort of like the way the world is, or especially social media at the minute, but do you find yourself treading on eggshells at all at the minute, or do you just go balls deep and I am what I am sort of thing?
I did a lot more a few months ago. When Black Lives Matter kicked off, it was no longer just the Black Lives Matter thing. It was if you tweet anything, you are potentially finished. And we saw the CrossFit CEO, all of these people get taken down like dominoes. And very rarely, I'll probably say 1 in 50 posts, I'll run past Luke. I'll just be like, Luke, can you just read over this? And it's not about what I'm saying, it's the context. Can that be taken wrong? Like, for instance, in one of our podcasts, someone on the podcast said, we're talking about like a sales front, like dating, sales, and it said 50 no's and a yes is a yes. So even with email marketing, 50 no's and a yes is a yes. So like, send an email 50 times. If the 51st email is a yes, then you've won them as a client. And someone goes, it's not funny to make rape jokes. And we're like, what? Someone commented and left an actual review on the podcast that we'd been making rape jokes. And I was like, excellent. Thanks for putting that in the public fucking forum. We're talking about email marketing and sales. And it's crazy that people will go to this extent. So like from then I get a message going, did you joke about rape in the podcast? I'm like, I don't even need to proofread it. I don't need to go back into the podcast. No, we didn't. 3 sober parties at the time talking about shit that wouldn't come up even off air. So, and it's annoying that I've kind of feel sorry for people, the kind of people that are in that position to take that, you put 2 and 2 together, they get 22. But yeah, yes and no. It's a sensitive world we live in, but at the end of the day, people just need to fuck off. It's really, really annoying. For some reason, you can't be human anymore. Like human error is a thing. That's why we get robots to, do most of our stuff for us. But for some reason, you get several 100,000 followers. You're not allowed to have an argument with your wife on the beach, or you're not allowed to, get annoyed. Like we forget that we are just organized apes. Yeah. That is literally it. We all wank behind closed doors. We all fart in public when the wind picks up. Like all of these things, we are all very much human. And if you're a personal trainer and you're trying to use social media, you can't forget that. But yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, I think everyone's a bit fucking sensitive at the moment as it is. And have you seen, like with COVID, right? In the beginning, I popped a bit of fun. I made a few funny videos. I put Drago, if he dies, he dies. And people are like, James, winter's coming, people are dying. 6 months later, people, oh, fucking hell, Boris, oh, best not go out after 10. Oh, the 7th person. You're like, you changed your fucking tone, Sheila, you little bitch. You're giving me fucking grief before about making a parody video when people are in lockdown. 6 months later, and you're revolting against your fucking prime minister. So it's a real funny one where the public changes like almost overnight. Like the public are there, you can't joke about COVID. Second lockdown, let's make memes.
So true. So I've got one final question, and then Mark, I don't know if you've got any more questions.
Check.
So if you had the opportunity to reach out and bitch slap every personal trainer in the world and then say one thing, what would that one thing be?
Stop whining, stop moaning. Like, because your environment's changed, but the environment always changes. And if you look at evolution from a scientific perspective, any animal that expected their environment to change would die. And that is quite simply what's happened for millions of years. The key to evolution, survival, and adaptation is molding to your environment. And so many people right now with a fixed mindset saying, I can't. My gym's closed, whatever it is. Fuck me. If you have a network of 30 people, past, present, or old clients, what is stopping you from offering a service that costs £5 a week, where you text that person every night to ask them for a screenshot of their MyFitnessPal? That's it. You keep them accountable for £5 a week, £1 every working day. You then offer that person 2 weeks for free if they give you 3 names and numbers of people that might need that service. Before you know it, you are spending 2 or 3 hours an evening making hundreds, if not thousands of pounds a week, actually genuinely offering helpful advice to people that need your services. Mm-hmm. That is something I literally just made up off the top of my head. No one's to stop you from doing that as a PT. I don't care if your gym's closed. You need to be, you need to become a business person, because ultimately, if personal trainers do not become more business minded, you will go out of business. And as much as I would love all personal trainers to be out of business, I also want the churn rate of this industry to decrease, because this churn rate is fucking destroying it. And, it's like you go to like a sales firm, and most of the sales people on the floor are shit because they've just started. And as soon as they get good, they go off somewhere else. And this churn rate is what is really hindering the nation's ability to get people on track. And people need to do this from a selfish perspective to make more money, but they also need to stay in business from a selfless perspective to enable the industry to have a vast array of more experienced coaches. And people need to really start respecting that. So when you do put your rates up, when you do charge your clients more, when you do put it up, you're actually doing it for the fucking industry, not just yourself. And people need to take that into account and start respecting their own time and hours more. And bitching and moaning about it isn't going to change anything. You must adapt, you must overcome. And there's so many ways to skin a cat. They just need to find the right one.
Nice. I love it.
Between the three of us, we've all mentioned a lot of things about personal trainers. That's probably negative, things that they do wrong, things that they're not doing well enough. But what things are personal trainers doing well?
Keeping people in the gym. Like, it's more of a habitual thing than anything else. So 1, getting people to turn up. 2, making them feel comfortable, whether it's, going to a leg press or whatever it is. And if you think that if a personal trainer takes someone into the gym for 30 sessions over time, it helps change the identity of that person going to the gym. They've gone from a gym noob to a gym goer, and it becomes so personal trainers really forge identities in people, and people overlook that. They're not just counting reps and sets. Then again, a lot of personal trainers now, in a bid to become popular on social media, are divulging a lot of free information, which is also good, because for years it was all hidden behind lock and key. Oh, you haven't got a personal trainer, we can't teach you that. Then we've got people on YouTube, people on TikTok, all these things. Suddenly, although in a bid for popularity in people's own machines and funnels, there's a lot of free information out there. And as a service-based industry, if we can reduce the churn rate, if we can help upskill coaches, and like we said before, we need something in place to help new information come around, because a lot of what we once believed suddenly, isn't as important. The last few years, we found out that reps aren't really that important for muscle growth. We've got studies from Brett Contreras. We've got like hip thrust versus squat studies that Lane Norton have debunked. We've got all these kind of like new studies come to market, even if it was a fucking monthly newsletter. Hey guys, here's the studies. Ben Carpenter's shown us that we now know the ketogenic diet is only superior for weight loss because of the water weight that's lost through glycogen. And even just a fucking newsletter so someone goes, James, exogenous ketones, or branched chain amino acids, actually have shown to help reduce the muscle soreness in elite athletes. Cool. So that PTs can be on the forefront when because what's happening now is their clients are coming in, follow a few evidence-based people on social media, or even worse, they come in from their GP. Their GP said, don't have diet drinks because the insulin will raise from the sweetener and that will store fat from the other foods that you eat. There needs to be something that can go around and squish all the bullshit. And yeah, it's kind of like an integral part of keeping people on the front line, because doctors, like I'm pretty sure they have to stay up to date with everything that's new and redo courses. And fuck me, in Australia, you've got to do your first aid like every 2 years. I found out the other day you're not supposed to do the mouth to mouth anymore.
Yeah, just compressions now.
Mental, isn't it? But fuck me. David did his PT course 4 years ago, still giving mouth to mouth to Lisa, though. He's passed out on the gym floor.
Well, there's a lot of people that probably passed 20 years ago when personal training wasn't even really a thing back then. I mean, at least now it is reasonably well established, and it is you have potential to actually have a career. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, people were telling people to do exercises, but it certainly wasn't regulated in the way it is now. And some of those people won't have probably learnt a thing since then. And it's quite scary how kind of archaic that their methods can be.
Yeah,
100%.
I recently had a student who came in for a PT course refresher, and he qualified in 1985 with WABA. Do you remember those guys?
WABA. Yeah, I've got all their albums. They're brilliant.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because things get outdated. We can't remain naive to that. I think things have changed since I've qualified as a PT. Even in the last few years, I've changed my mind on some stuff. And, there probably will come out evidence soon that are going to change the mindsets. But, in a scientific and an objective debate, if the objectivity of something changes, we must all change with it. And we must, even just getting personal trainers to know what's objectively true and subjectively true is crazy, because to a runner, that's the best kind of exercise. To a CrossFit, that's the best kind of exercise. They're subjective methods, but objectively speaking, this is how this happens, this is how this happens. And there does need to be some form of change.
Hopefully we can play a small part in that as well. I'm sure between us we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's getting late and I need to mass debate. James, will you join me in the mass debate?
A mass debate sounds great. Yeah, sounds like my favorite part of the day.
Exactly. Right. I've got a little pot full of bits of paper. Me and Josh know some of the words and phrases that are on there, but obviously nobody else does. I'm going to pick two out randomly, and I'm going to hold one in each hand. Then, James, you can choose which hand it is in. This is like the FA Cup draw, but just a little bit worse.
Okay.
Two pieces of paper. Actually, before you pick a hand, we need to decide whether you're going to go for or against.
Let's go against.
You're going to go against. Okay. I might overrule you on account that it's my game if it'll be funnier the other way around. Right, James, pick a hand. Would you like
the left?
My left.
Yeah.
That is this one. Business gurus. So you are going against business gurus. Paul, you listening? Yeah, he's in.
Right.
Fucking
the same. You've
got 60 seconds. You're gonna argue against, and then me or Josh will go for. Josh, do you want to do it, or do you want me to?
I'll do it.
Mate, I'll go for a piss then.
Are you finished yet?
The glass is still empty.
Good times. Right, James, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it. Let's go. Boom. Business
gurus. If you were that fucking good, you'd be running businesses, not giving advice I mean, fucking hell, it's exhausting you giving out great advice in your time about your successful businesses that aren't actually that successful. And if you were that much of a business guru, you wouldn't be posting pictures from economy telling us about all your business trips. It's, I see these people online all the time talking about all these little business tips. If they were that effective, these strategies you have in place, then why aren't you using them within your own business? When we look at people that are the best entrepreneurs, they don't ever consider themselves business gurus. They merely just give out advice that they've used themselves. I don't even think Gary Vaynerchuk calls himself a business guru, So I think that all these little business coaches out there, fuck off. It's apparent from the outside you haven't even got that much of a great business, and you're using this side hustle to make money to make your fucking rent each month.
Nice. 3 seconds spare.
Solid argument. Josh, tell him why he's wrong. Why are business gurus brilliant?
This is a fucking tough one, isn't it? Okay, so although I actually agree with most of your points, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. So, number one, business gurus, some of them are legitimate and have proven track records. They've already walked the path of the way your PT is trying to go. They've already done the job. They can have very, very useful strategies, help and advice. But again, it comes down to finding the right one. If I was going to give you one tip for finding a business guru, get case studies, social proof, testimonials, and see someone that has actually lived the life that you want or built the business that you want. That's my summary.
It's quite good. That was quite good. That was another side of the fence. It's quite good.
It was a good effort, but business gurus can suck a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I die. James, as you are the guest, we'll give you the victory on that one. Mind you, people might comment and explain why one of you or the other is right or wrong. The whole point of that is to explain to people that there are always two sides of the story. So there's something's going to be brilliant for some people, and the same thing might not be so good for some others. But generally speaking, it's the people who have never run a successful business in their life that then think they can tell you that doing their mentorship will help you become a $100,000 a week trainer or whatever it is these days. I've lost track.
I had this last night, right? So Josh, are you a jiu-jitsu advocate? So last night I was rolling against this Brazilian guy, same belt, big guy. And he's got a rig on him. But he's always avoiding me when we're rolling. So last night, we're rolling. And rather than taking his back in a seatbelt position, I took his back in the double unders position, more of like a wrestling grip. And we both rolled out of the position at the same time. But when I rolled out, I realized I had hold of his collar. So I wasn't even sure what position I was in. But I inverted, grabbed his pant leg, rolled over, and I ended up in a bow and arrow choke, which is a really strong choke. And I tapped him out. He turns around to then give me advice on how I should have rolled. And I was like, mate, I just choked you the fuck out. So would you please stop giving me advice on how to do the fucking sport when in 7 minutes you didn't even score a point on me? And I think that is what business gurus are like. As they're getting choked out, they're like, if you do a little bit tighter, I think you could tap me out better. Fuck off.
You need to do more social media posts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And also,
James, I do believe, and this might put you under a little bit of pressure, you have got 3 statements that you are going to give us for the false, true section. It doesn't take a genius to work it out, but I'll do it just in case we have got a few Muppets on the line. 2 statements that you give us are going to be false, and one of them is going to be true, and we're going to try and work out which one it is.
I used to work for Activision, who create Call of Duty. That's one. I have a tattoo on my left butt cheek. And the third is I was once voted Maidenhead Rugby Club's best looking forward by the women's team.
When I when we went out for a beer at Body Power and I asked you for if you fancied a bum, I don't think I remember seeing a tattoo at the time. So I'm going to put that one to one side. The Call of Duty one is a bit too specific. Is it too specific? Who would like randomly pluck that out of thin air as a random false statement? That's not my final answer yet, though. Best looking forward as voted by the females. You'd probably been training them all for half price for about the last year, so they might have been slightly biased. I'm going to steer towards number one. Josh?
See, so you think the Activision one was true, yeah?
Yeah.
See, what I think has happened potentially, I may be wrong, I think James has got an Xbox or a PlayStation in front of him with Call of Duty there. I think that was maybe one he's just picked up. He's looking for something around the room. You know, I think I've got some, I've got Ghost Recon or something down here for my office. I think number three, I think the rugby one is true.
Well, the tattoo is actually on the left cheek. No, it's on the right cheek, not the left, so that was false. The rumour of me being the best looking forward was one that I made up and put into circulation in the Maidenhead Rugby Club. And the Call of Duty one is actually true. And when I play, because I am an avid gamer at the moment, I tell my teammates that I used to work for Activision for a couple of months, and none of them believe me. And it was something that I actually said to them the other night. It's the only job I've ever been fired from in my life.
What was it you did?
I worked in there I got a temp job, pretty much inputting data into a computer, and I spent all my time in the games room playing zombies. And they literally came in when I was playing, and they sent me home. I was like, "Why am I going home?" And I got a phone call on the way home, and they were like, "Yeah, they've discontinued your contract on a Thursday as well. Didn't even let me see out the week." So there you go. There's something I've never told anyone.
Wow. There you go. That is the whole point of the game. And I'm now 2 from 2. I'm on a roll. I'm going to have a pint of piss to celebrate. Right, James, we're very, very near the end. Josh, is there anything in UK PTs, any questions that have come up in the last few days? Anything that needs us to cast our opinion while we've got James's attention?
Let me just load up the Facebooks.
James, while he's doing that, I know this is like just putting like a proverbial gun to your head and putting you on the spot, but if hypothetically, if we were to offer listeners some sort of competition, say like, for example, for our own selfish gratification, if they were to share this podcast or subscribe or something to get our numbers up, what do you think you could have up your sleeve that you could maybe throw in to the mix?
Just sort out some business-to-business event tickets, which I know that as soon as COVID has died down a bit, we're going to be doing some face-to-face events.
Cool.
And the ticket price of those can be up to like £500 a ticket. So you could always offer out a couple of £1,000 worth of B2B kind of tickets to the events. And one thing that we have a lot of fun with those events, where I say to people that if they don't, substantially increase their annual revenue by the 10:30 break in the morning, that I'll refund them their ticket. So I always say to people, if you haven't made at least 10 times your ticket price by 10:30 a.m., I'll refund you. So there's some pretty good value. So why don't you give out some of those and bring them along?
Mate,
and,
happy days. So you're doing that back over in the UK, I take it?
Yeah, I was supposed to be doing some, like right now, I was supposed to come home in May before COVID. And we've got some Unreal signups on jamesswift.live, where we're looking to, we had about 450 at the last one, but there's been a lot of demand since. And I really like the B2B events. It's like, I really slap people in the face when they begin. Yeah. You find this quite funny as well. When I started the last one, there were 3 slides. I said, right, guys, to warm up the room, who wants to hear 3 jokes? And they're like, okay. And I was like, all right, first joke, PTing at weekends. And everyone was like, oh. And then I was like, then I was like, all right, guys, who's ready for the second joke? They're like, yeah. I was like, PTing after 5 p.m. They're like, oh. And I was like, who hasn't got kids? And then there were like a lot of hands went up. I went, out of you guys, how many of you want to have kids? They're like, yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh, it's amazing that you guys have booked out all your hours where your kids will be at home and that you're sat around doing nothing and your kids will be at school. I was like, look forward to a future of never seeing your kids. And I was like, right, who's ready? Who's ready for joke number 3? And then they're like, okay. I was like, flying economy in an obesity epidemic. And everyone was sat there like, fucking hell. And I was like, I like, it was a bit of fun to like get them off the ground. I was like, guys, there is no more sought after profession than the one you work in. You should not be skinned. So yeah, you can give them some tickets to that. I'll have to come up with 3 new jokes now for the next one.
You've told everyone. Bollocks. Don't worry. I'll see if I can think of any. I'll send them along. So what? You happy? What? A pair? 2 people?
Yeah. Do 3 or 4.
Do 3 or 4. Perfect. Okay. So you heard it there, then, people. I think that is that bribery? Did I just bribe someone? Extortion? Did I just extort some tickets from you? But if anyone wants to buy some tickets from me for 300 quid each, they're worth 500 quid. I've got 4 available.
It's not. It's because I said I hadn't sued anyone. You're thinking you can get away with it.
Yeah. How can I do it? Yeah. But no, mate, that's very generous. Thank you very much. So we'll obviously, when we share this, we'll make it clear that there are 4 tickets up for grabs if people share this far and wide. Josh, have you found anything worth chatting about?
So there was a question in the group. There's a personal trainer. Again, I won't say his name because he hasn't actually agreed to us saying this live. So the PT in question says, do you have any thoughts on pay-as-you-go payments as opposed to people buying packages or monthly rolling? What are your thoughts, James?
I think that when people buy a block, there's an end date, which means that, Netflix don't sell subscriptions in year blocks because they will probably see a drop-off when that 12 months runs out. If you look at Spotify, Netflix, if you look at services, which they are, even an internet provider phone bill, it's monthly and it's because it's continuous. If you can keep your level of service up, there shouldn't be a reason as to why it would end. If you are going to do block payments, charge a premium for it. Or if you're going to do a pay-as-you-go kind of service, offer a discount. But actually don't ever offer a discount. Just ramp up your block price to put people off it. And then on top of that, make your single session price maybe 5 times your hourly rate. I used to make my single session price over £200 so that people would tell their friends they were with a £200 an hour PT. No one ever paid me for that. But it just got you kind of off the mark. But yeah, when it comes to like letting people pay on a weekly or monthly basis, even a fortnightly, it becomes also a smaller pain point for them. Rather than giving you a wad of 800 quid, it's just a smaller amount that goes out every week or every month, and it becomes part of their expenses, which means it's less likely to be discontinued.
Nice. I think for now, for UK PTs questions, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of stuff on here that I think would be a bit of a time waste, if I'm honest.
The pricing thing is the most interesting part, where if anyone is considering what to charge, just start. And if you're too cheap, your hours will fill too quick. And then, keep putting your rates up until your hours drop down. And when they start dropping down, start marketing yourself more. And it's all a demand game, and people need to treat their pricing like airplane seats. If you're empty, drop your fucking pants. But when you start getting full, don't be afraid to, really charge your worth for those last few seats remaining, because that plane can take off with empty seats, and the airlines take pride in not dropping them. Last minute flights actually cost the most, not the least.
That makes sense.
Whereas on that note, James, where do you stand on sort of dabbling with things like small group training or coaching, something like that? Like if you've got 3 people, pay you 30 quid each instead of 50 quid for the session or something like that.
Yeah, I think people need to be flexible to if you're going to double up or triple up sessions, sure, but don't give an hour of your time for 3 people as you would otherwise. It's a perfect opportunity to charge more and do less. Also, if your clients are potentially not able to afford your services, one thing that I did a lot was do half an hour sessions. First few were hours long, but they get them to do their own warm up, train the main compounds with them. So for me, I'd get them to do their lower body compounds, their push, their pull. Then when the half an hour ran out, I'd send them off to do their isolation, their arms and their shoulders. Then what you can do is you could charge a premium for half an hour. So rather than charging £60 for an hour, you could charge someone £35 or £40 for half an hour, and then you can see them 2-3 times a week instead. And seeing someone 3 times a week for 30 minutes is probably going to yield you better results than it would otherwise. But be savvy, do what you need to do. You know, even if you said to your clients, hey, look, I double up. If my client's having a tough time with money, I'm going to train you with another client that usually train at this time. They don't even have to know each other. If you say to them, hey guys, I'll knock 25-30% off your session rate if I can double you up at that time. If you're overbooked and you've got 2 clients training at the same time, just ask them. So many people don't ask their clients. They do, hey, can you come in half an hour early? If you're meeting one of your best friends for coffee and you need to move it early, you just fucking ask them. If it's your client, don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing they'll say is, no, I can't. So, yeah, it's being savvy.
Happy days. If somebody hasn't listened to that and just found like something in there of some value to help them or to give them something to think about in terms of progressing their business, then we can't help them. It's their loss. They'll probably be serving us in Greg's or Subway or something soon. James, thank you very much for your time. Before we cut you off, just talk to us about what the future holds. What's happening in the next coming weeks or months? What have you got going on? What should people look out for?
November, book 2. Not a life
you've got
coach.
a book, have you?
Yeah, just second one. November 26th. That's coming out. But for personal trainers, I mean, what I found was not a lot of PTs would have needed the first book, not a diet book. But what is crazy is that I know CrossFit athletes that went to the CrossFit Games that don't have the confidence to sell their own product. And I'm like, you literally went to the CrossFit Games to compete for the title of fittest in the world, but you don't have the confidence to sell a product using your Instagram. And there's a lot of mindset flaws in even the fittest of people, which is where the second book really comes in. I'm not one of the fittest people, but I don't struggle on the mindset front. So it doesn't matter how big your muscles are, how big your six pack is. If your mindset isn't geared up to going in the direction you want, your muscles won't save you here, pal. So the second book's going to help a lot of people in that front. And then, everyone keeps saying when COVID fucks off, which I very much doubt it will. When Boris is out and herd immunity is a thing, I'll be doing events in the UK. If people go to jamessmith.live, they can register for those events, including the B2B, business to business. And like I said before, it's an investment. The risk is covered off because if people don't make their money back, I'll give them their money back.
However, if you buy tickets from me outside, I will not be refunding you your 300 quid. You think I'm joking? I'm going to try and sell at least one of them. Josh, got anything to add?
I just want to say thank you for your time. I understand that you're insanely busy, and I really appreciate it. And I think the guys from UK PTs are really going to appreciate hearing your thoughts. So thank you again.
Yeah, we definitely had in the couple of posts we put out. Obviously, we haven't even launched yet, so we've got no idea. Hopefully, we'll get lots of listeners. But when we've mentioned it a couple of times, they were the posts that have got a hell of a lot of engagement, and there was a lot of positivity, a lot of likes, and a lot of comments. People saying they're looking forward to it. So hopefully, we haven't done them a disservice, and I'm sure once things are kicking on properly, we'll get you back on sort of every 6 to 12 months or something, just to have to chew the fat and see what's going on. But James, thank you very much for fitting us in. Enjoy your day ahead of you in sunny Sydney, and we'll chat to you soon.
Cheers. Thanks, lads.
No worries. Cheers, mate.